innocent hope to die.
By these 50 countries, differing so much in race and religion, in language and culture.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
Well, I know they're lying. They tricked me once, but they're not going to trick me twice. The time is now. Welcome back to the Professor Penn podcast. David Penn, your host. I'm glad to be with you, as always, for a special edition, episode number 242, coming to you on Wednesday night, September 24th. Good morning, Tanner. We have back in studio today someone who's getting to be a regular guest, Mohamed Amin, who I have really enjoyed getting to know and starting to forge a relationship with, based on the Constitution of the United States. We're a little bit like ebony and ivory. A little bit like ebony and ivory, but when we play together, we make some nice music. Hello. Nice to have you back in studio, Mohamed.
Thank you again, Professor Penn on TireGet.com. I appreciate you. And I appreciate Tana here, who's a wonderful engineer. I hope you could see him. This guy is amazing.
He's trying to stay behind the wall because he's a man with a young family, and he's not quite ready to carry that RPG with him that you're talking about. He's not quite ready for that.
He's a hunter.
Isn't he? Yeah, he's a hunter. That's exactly correct. Young man finding his political chops, establishing a family. I remember when I did that at his age. He's actually doing fantastic. He's involved in politics now. He's affecting his community. He's a great benefit here to our community. Tanner, a public thank you.
You guys are welcome. I didn't expect this.
I didn't either. But as long as we're going down that road, it needs to be said. Mohamed is in today. We're still in the blast zone of this martyrdom of Charlie Kirk. And we talked about discussing the death and its implications to our communities and how we can come together, white and black, man and woman, Jew, Christian, Muslim, how we can all come together in search of and in support of one very important concept, and that's peace. Peace.
Shalom.
Shalom, which is a great thing to say because this Wednesday night, this is the end of the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah.
People are just finishing up their ceremonial after holiday dinners. Hopefully they're just tuning in right now. Mohamed, thank you for coming in. Let's talk about this Charlie Kirk issue and what your thoughts are and how it affected you. And go ahead. What does that mean? Because the last time you were in here, we played a Turning Point USA video, about a 20-minute video, which was not particularly favorable to the Somali community here in Minnesota.
Correct.
So just at the get-go, you coming in to talk about Charlie Kirk, all dressed in black, mourning. It's quite a statement. It's quite a statement.
It is. I agree to disagree with Charlie Kirk on some things, and I agree to agree with him on a lot of things. You see, we are conservatives. We accept inconvenient truths and sometimes what we call ugly truths. He had his truth, Charlie Kirk. Why I'm here dressed in black, draped in flags, all the way from my cufflinks to my tie to my lapel, which says a heart and it says God bless America, is because we're in mourning. This country is in mourning. Well, most people are in mourning. And not only this country, but his death has affected the whole world of the Christendom. Something has awakened in them.
Something is awakening.
Something is awakening.
You can feel it.
I went to a vigil. Vigil.
A vigil.
I'm sorry, I got an accent. Sometimes it comes out. But I went to a vigil. I speak 3 languages, and all of them I got accents in them. Go figure that one out. But I went to a vigil, and I wanted to see these people who their hero was Charlie Kirk. I went to the one in Delano. I couldn't make it to the one on Lake. And there was vigils all across Minnesota and all across this country and all across the world. I even saw a haka in New Zealand being played.
How when you went to this vigil, how were you received there?
I was wearing my Islamic hat
Okay.
and I wore a black suit, a different black suit, and a black tie and everything else with my flags. And I went there as a Muslim. Everybody could look at me and they could see I'm a Muslim. I was welcomed.
You were welcomed.
I was welcome. But what shocked me was I expected this place in Delano to have maybe, because it was organized on a Sunday, a good fella by the name of Justin Gage, who basically promotes Republican ideals on social media, invited everybody to it. And he posted it. And a couple of people organized it in 3 days. I expected 75, 100 people, maybe 150 people, because this was an emotional event.
Mm-hmm.
800 people, my friend,
800 people.
in a small park under one tent. We were all packed. We were standing. And as usual, like me, I'm not the guy who sits in the front and the center. I'm the guy who's actually in the back. I'm always the back guy. I'm the kid who rides at the back of the bus.
Okay.
So I'm always in the back, and all I came there to do was listen.
And show your respect.
Show my respect, but listen.
And
What did this man mean to these
what
people?
did you hear, Mohammed? What did you hear? I mean,
Well,
I know what you heard. This is something people have to get their heads around. There was a presentation. There was a presentation and people said things, but what you heard was unique to you.
yeah.
So I'm curious, what did you hear from that presentation? How did it move you? What did you take from it?
Well, it moved me. It moved me because, number one, what I saw was prayers. I may not be a Christian, but prayer is a prayer. And the second thing was songs of praise.
Songs of praise. Is that what you
And
said?
I heard the songs of praise, and I was like, okay, this is cool
Songs of praise for Christ.
for the Lord of the Christians. And I
Okay.
was like, okay, this is different as a Muslim, but I've seen this before. I've gone to churches many times.
So there was
I've gone to
prayers.
synagogues and Buddhist temples and Shinto temples, and I've read the Torah, the Bible, the Quran, the Vedya, the Hindu, Brahmic teachings. I mean, everything you can imagine, from Buddhism to Confucianism to Falun Gong, all the way down to Tibetan monks.
Is that typical of Muslim men to expose themselves and study other religions?
It doesn't have to do with anything to do with Muslim. It's just typical of an inquisitive mind.
Great. Okay, so there was prayers, songs of praise, and what else did
And the
what
second thing was
third thing?
memorial,
Memorial. Okay. Mourning.
mourning.
Did you see people were actually saddened? Was there actual um, real emotion at the event where people were actually physically and emotionally affected by what had happened?
I saw something that amazed me. At a rally like this, you expect all timers. Usually, when we go to things like this, it is 40 and above. You know what shocked me?
Young people
With babies.
with babies.
Plenty of babies there. Running around, all colors. Unbelievable. I was like, whoa, something is happening here. And then I looked around and I went to home and I did some research and I realized this is happening in every county, city, and area in America.
What does it mean?
An awakening is happening. The lions are waking up.
The lions. Did you say the lions are
The
what?
lions are waking up. The
Oh,
people who believe in God are waking up. I told you in the last episode, this is a majority Christian nation. 233 million out of 300 and what?
we don't know.
330. I mean, that's
We're not sure.
we go by the last census.
We need another count. But anyhow, go ahead. So
And
the Christians are clearly in the majority.
it's a majority Christian nation. It's the biggest. America is the biggest Christian nation in the world. Go check it out. It's a fact.
Well, I noticed at the Charlie Kirk memorial that was on. When was that on? Sunday night? Sunday night
at the State Farm Arena,
in Arizona.
Yeah,
It was overtly Christian in its presentation.
90,000 people packed it.
I've never seen anything like that before.
It's a revival.
Yes, it is a worldwide spiritual revival.
Not only that, I mean, they couldn't fit in all the people. Not only that, they went to the Diamond Stadium in the desert for another 20,000 people to watch it. And guess what? Tens of millions have watched it. Over 100 million so far. Just on TV. On social media, we're talking 10 times that amount.
So a spiritual revival of Christians.
Christians have woken up. You're seeing it.
What does that mean? What does that mean constitutionally? What does that mean for the
Well,
harmony
it was a
of our...
political rally. It was also a religious rally. The two mixed. It was two beats to it.
I thought there was supposed to be a separation of church and state.
Not-
That's what they're going to say,
But not the alienation of God and state.
not the alienation thereof. Okay.
Right now, what we have in this country is an alienation of God and state. I wrote an article in June. It says, Christians uphold your faith. Christians uphold your faith. I'm a Muslim saying this.
Christians uphold
Your Christian faith.
it.
In June.
Okay, when you
This is
wrote
not
that in June,
opportunistic, written after Charlie Kirk got martyred
it was
and assassinated. It was
beforehand.
beforehand.
And the reason why you said uphold the Christian faith, that was your article. You wrote an article.
It's
the title
on
was
my website. You
Christians.
can actually read it right now.
Christians.
rpoc.org. He'll put up a chime for it. rpoc.org.
Okay, there goes Tanner into action. It will
Yeah.
be in the description of the video.
rpoc.org. And it says Christians uphold your faith. And the reason why we say that is because we're seeing a Saul Alinsky kind of world here. A tribute to Lucifer is who Saul Alinsky was.
You're saying Saul Alinsky and the radical left is a tribute to Lucifer.
If you read his book, The Radical,
I actually did read his book.
Did
and
you see the foreword?
I understand exactly what you're saying. But let me ask you a question that I have this is a sincere question. I think I know the answer, but I want to ask it. In Islam, what is the role of Lucifer in Islam?
is Shaitan. We rebuke him.
The same Satan that we have in Christianity.
Call him Lucifer, call him by any other name, and he goes by many names. Sometimes even they come looking like you and me into our midst. They whisper in our hearts and our souls.
I had a very good friend of mine who was a Palestinian, a brother. He was my brother for many years. His name was Jihad. Can you imagine David and Jihad, best friends? Goes back a long time
Jihad
ago.
better have good luck passing through that airport security.
But he told me that on his shoulder, he had a good angel and a dark angel
Rakib
whispering
Anatid.
in his ears all the time.
Yeah. Rakib Anatid.
And he believed it.
Yeah. That's why we say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We basically telling the angels, one writes the good deeds, one writes the bad deeds. We're saying greetings to you and peace to you, man. At the end of our prayers.
Prince, the great artist from Minnesota, has a song where he talks about he's got two sides to him, but they're both friends.
Yeah.
He addresses the issue.
Yeah.
How this duality, this kind of a yin-yang issue,
light and darkness,
working together to forge humanity.
It works in every soul. There's light and there's darkness. It's which one do you let out?
And this is why Christ said, work on the log in your own eye before you start addressing the cinder in your neighbor's eye. Because that working out of my own addiction to sin.
Well, the thing you mentioned
takes a lot of work.
The word jihad. Jihad means struggle. There is two forms of jihad.
Okay.
Americans know, and the world knows of the
armed resistance.
The armed resistance. Guess what?
That's the little one.
That's the little one.
Right.
The big one is the yin and yang in your soul.
The internal battle.
The light and darkness. It is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came from jihad, and the men were celebrating victory. We did this for God. We did that for God. We are victorious. We are this. And he looked at them and he told them, Hold on. This ain't nothing, man. This is a little one. The fight you really got is between you and your soul.
You know, there's a scripture in the New Testament is greater is the man who can subdue his tongue than the man who can subdue a city. Greater is the man that has self-control than the man who can conquer a city. What a great scripture. That's the same idea.
Yeah, I think I'm losing on that one.
Mhm. No,
Control the tongue is a bit difficult for some of us.
well, this is something that
But that is awesome, man.
I mean, this is a goal. I mean, I'm working on this because I have this platform that's growing all the time, and I have to be very careful, search for truth, be very careful about what I say. I'm becoming very interested now in unity and in love and in because there's so many forces pulling our culture apart, such as this awful death was intended to create division and hatred. But what I'm hearing you say is what you've witnessed in Delano was actually prayer,
Revival.
songs of praise, a revival of Christian faith. As you're saying, Christian people must uphold their faith. What does upholding Christian faith mean, Mohammed?
Well, let's look at Charlie Kirk. Today's a memorial for Charlie Kirk, so let's talk about Charlie Kirk.
Okay.
Let's start with a statement and the theme for this particular episode.
Okay.
You can kill a man, but you can't kill his ideas.
I've got a
Socrates.
I have wait a second. We have a community participant from Jamaica. And when he contacts me, he always starts out with the pen, as in my last name, is mightier than the sword.
And that's the truth.
You can kill a man, but his ideas. That's right from Star Wars. You know, Darth, if you strike me down, I will be greater than you can even imagine.
Heck,
It's the
even
same.
gangsters know this. I mean, not Ice Cube, I still say it, we don't die, we multiply. I mean, everybody and every ethos is that. Like I said, there's the good and the bad, the light and the darkness. There's the light and the darkness. Now, what light means is up to you. None of our business.
What did the light mean to Charlie Kirk?
That's what I'm going to talk about today.
Okay.
Well, they killed the man on live TV, put a bullet in his neck, blooded his microphone. What did the man do? Let's start with his name. Charles is an old Northern European name. It comes from basically Northern England and Scotland. It means free man.
Charles means free man.
Yeah, go look it up.
Okay.
And then the word Kirk. Kirk now is Germanic. And it means basically even, I'm sorry, Charles come free man from Charlemagne.
Okay.
Charlemagne the Great, Charles the Great.
Okay.
You know, Kirk means church. It comes from Reformation Church in Scotland.
Okay.
Back in the 16th century, they call all those churches Kirk. And more importantly, the Kirk means church. So his name is Freeman Church. Freeman of the church.
Free man of the church.
Did he live to that name or not? Names are important, man. It seems like his father figured it out and he saw the destiny in this man. Some things don't happen by an accident or coincidences in this planet. I don't believe in that.
You know, it's great that you looked that up because I looked up Anthony Fauci's name, and Fauci means a sickle, like a knife that cuts and kills, and harvests and cuts down. So you know, names do mean a lot, and I don't know if the father knew it or if it was some supernatural force bringing that name. But what you're saying is significant in that we get to make up our own personal understandings of what Charlie Kirk meant to each one of us individually. And then there's a collective understanding that's starting to emerge, a narrative about him.
Well,
But back to his life,
I mean, the guy was born in Illinois. He's a Midwesterner like us. The best come from the Midwest. You agree, Tana? The best. Yeah? You know, the best come from the Midwest.
The heartland. The Midwest is the heartland.
I mean, the man was a Presbyterian. His wife was a Catholic.
Okay.
He got 2 kids.
Beautiful kids.
The man had kids, man, at 31. A millennial having kids. Salute to that one first.
Those kids have quite
Two
a.
kids. One born in 2022 and one born in 2024.
They have a lot to live up to.
I will not mention their names. They deserve their privacy. We need to protect them. We owe them that. And we need to create a country that they deserve to live in. Now,
Oh, you're saying it would be a responsibility of all the people who are carrying forward to create a peaceful,
society,
successful society where these kids can thrive.
that's what we owe them. Now, Charlie Kirk, even the Pope prayed for him. A Catholic praying for a Presbyterian. Think about that for a second. And the Pope is from Chicago, another Midwestern. A White Sox fan, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? I'm a Twins fan. But the Pope prayed for him. People around the world are praying for him. Why? Why are Christians all of a sudden moved by this man? The same man last podcast, I agreed to disagree with because he said Islam is the sword that will cut the throat of the West. And I said, hold on. That's a broad statement.
It's a broad brush statement.
Exactly. And then let's talk about, because Islam is not monolithic. Same as Christianity. Christianity is 40,000 sects.
Okay, let me say this clearly for the people that have a hard time with your. Islam is not monolithic. Neither is Judaism. You know, we have a lot of Americans right now look at Jewish people, they think everybody's a Zionist. That's not true. There are Jews that are not Zionists.
Ever heard of Jews for Peace?
Of course I have.
Ever heard of the rabbis who walk around promoting peace?
Yes, we play them on the prod. I grew up with people like that.
I know peace activists in Israel, and I walk with them.
Well, that's what I think is missing from the dialogue is about half the people in Israel are opposed to the government policy. It's a parliamentary system, so even though Netanyahu's government does not have a majority in a parliamentary system, he holds power. But on a population basis, I don't know the exact number, but it feels like about half the people are opposed to the policy that the government of Israel is pursuing right now. Because it's not a peaceful policy.
It is a democracy. Netanyahu is the prime minister. I mean, the man has come back again. He has more lives than a cat, for God's sakes. Political lives. I mean, the guy, whenever everyone says he's done and out, he pulls a maverick.
He comes back.
He pulls a maverick. I mean, we can talk about his history on another day. Today's about Charlie Kirk. But what I do know is this. I know a lot of Israelis, Jews, even some who are Zionists, who still believe in peace. Zionism means going back home. And they don't like the fact that it caused a Nakba, which basically displaced Palestinians from their home. There's reasonings for this. But today is about Charlie Kirk. So about his family, he has a sibling called Mary. She's an art curator. His father and mother are still around. And he grew up. He's a college dropout. Figure that one out.
Okay, here's a clip. Charlie Kirk's life from the perspective of Charlie Kirk. Please play that, Tanner. Thank you.
I don't blame people for saying that I'm a political guy. That is my day job, right? And so I'm focused on the second most important thing that I think a human being can focus on. So then, of course, everyone says, what's the first thing? Okay, well, the first thing is winning souls for Jesus Christ. Most important thing. Well, then, Charlie, what's the second thing? To make sure you can do the first thing.
Thanks for coming.
God bless you. Thank you for having me.
So, Charlie, who are you? Where did you come from? How does all this stuff happen?
I'm a child of God, and Jesus is my Savior, and grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. Went to Christian Heritage Academy, where I gave my life to the Lord in 5th grade. Went from there to public school, graduated high school, and I had no money, no connections, and no idea what I was doing. And I started Turning Point USA, and I did that instead of going to college.
So Turning Point USA, maybe some of our audience isn't familiar with it. Talk a little bit about Turning Point, why it exists, and what you hope to accomplish.
Yeah, we're the nation's largest organization that is focused on a daily basis to make sure your kids and grandkids live in a free country. we're losing the West, and we're losing it for a variety of different reasons. And Turning Point USA, we operate with a sense of urgency to turn the country back to the ideas of liberty, which is God's idea, not man's idea, freedom, which is granted from God, not government, the Constitution, which is a divinely inspired document, in my opinion, and the opinion of many others. And this is something that I think that every Christian and any person with a moral conscience should care about. And so, but at Turning Point USA, we do this in a variety of different ways, through high school and college chapter development, through our work with the biggest events in the entire movement. We are dominant on digital and social media. We do this through our campus leadership project. We do this through our pastor network. There's a variety of different ways that we do this at Turning Point USA. But look, we want to make sure that American values are passed down to the next generation. And we make very clear moral claims that liberty and freedom is not just the best way to live, but it's necessary for a flourishing human existence.
What do you consider to be the defining issues of our day?
Oh, there's several. To kind of bring it to a metaphysical realm, what is truth and what is true? And that kind of explains the whole transgender debate. It explains kind of the idea of racial politics in America. So definitely objective versus subjective existence is one of the biggest issues, no doubt. But if I kind of had to distill it down to the issue that impacts that, which impacts all the other issues, which is what we focus on at Turning Point USA, it's education. How we educate young people is one of the most, if not the most important issue for a civilization to continue. That impacts our spiritual health, our mental health, our physical health, our civilizational health. And we've done a pretty poor job of it. We've done the opposite. We've indoctrinated young children. We have filled them up with bad ideas. We've told them to hate themselves and hate the country and believe there's no God. And then there's other issues as well. Declining sovereignty, internationalist forces trying to crush America, a guilt-ridden nation that has strayed from the Lord, a weak church, an increasingly weak and passive church, with obvious exceptions, right? Obvious, which we've talked about, and that's not an exhaustive list. So yeah, I mean, these are some massive issues. A spiritual battle that it seems as if so many people don't even want to admit exists. So I could focus on any of those, but that's definitely a starting point.
So it seems like when most people identify with you, rather than immediately say, well, he's a religious person, they refer to you more as a political person. And yet, faith is central to who you are, what you do, and I'm not going to say your politics are formed from that, but your life approach is basically biblically based.
Yeah.
So how does someone who is so biblically based find themselves in the midst of so many controversial political things? How has that emerged, or how has your voice found its way into those places?
Yeah, I've been a Christian since 5th grade, and I've always just kind of been a political animal. I've just kind of enjoyed trying to call out lies and deceit and, untruth and mistruths, I guess you could say. And I don't like bullies, and I don't like the strong terrorizing the weak. I've never liked that. And that's a moral claim, by the way, that comes from the Bible. So politics kind of puts all that together. I will be honest, though, in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, I felt a lot more passive about talking about my faith because I was kind of told not to, both by pastors and politicians.
Wow.
If you think about it, pastors are like, don't you dare bring that in here. Don't bring it in the church. I grew up in a church environment that you do not talk about politics. You do not talk about philosophy. You just talk about the Bible. We just do the gospel. That's it. Which, of course, is, I believe, unbiblical, right? Wow. Nehemiah, Jeremiah, Esther, Mordecai, Daniel, amongst many others, were all political figures.
Yes.
Fasted and prayed for the nation.
Even Deborah.
Yeah, exactly. The counselors to the king.
Yes.
So there's many examples of that. But then also politicians like, oh, no, keep that Christian stuff away. We just care about tax cuts and all this other nonsense. And it was 17, 18, 19, you get older, things start to clarify more. And I met Rob McCoy, who is my pastor and does such a great job. And he really kind of changed my perspective on that. But look, I don't blame people for saying that I'm a political guy. That is my day job, right? And so I'm focused on the second most important thing that I think a human being can focus on. So then, of course, everyone says, well, what's the first thing? Okay, well, the first thing is winning souls for Jesus Christ. Most important thing. Well, then, Charlie, what's the second thing? To make sure you can do the first thing.
That's good.
It's my day job.
That's good.
So when we talk about believers and standing up for our rights, what does the Bible say about getting involved? I know you touched on it, but what what should we do? I mean, it's more specifically, what should we biblically do as believers?
Yeah, and some people believe that the church or Christian should not comment ever about local politics or about being a citizen. They say, all we do is the gospel, and we don't get engaged in those sorts of things. Well, then, there's a lot of verses that they're going to have to explain with that sort of a position. Jeremiah 29:7, demand the welfare of the nation or the city of which you are in, because your welfare is tied to your nation's welfare. That's the Lord speaking in Jeremiah 29:7. Now, in every church you'll go to, you'll probably hear Jeremiah 29:11, which is one of the most quoted scriptures, for I know the plans I have laid in front of you. But rarely do you hear about Jeremiah 29:7, which is a commandment to care about what's happening in the local nation or city. Not to mention Daniel, Esther, Mordecai, Nehemiah, Jeremiah, and let's just focus on Daniel in particular. Daniel fasted and prayed for the well-being of the nation that he was in. And so Daniel was faced with a choice that the American church was faced with, that Steve Smotherman was faced with, that Legacy Church was faced with. It was the Daniel trial. And I'll tell you, before we go any further, 98% of American churches failed the Daniel trial. And the Daniel trial was very clear. In Daniel 6, there was a conspiracy, a legitimate conspiracy, kind of launched against Daniel, where I forget the names of certain individuals that then lobbied King Nebuchadnezzar, basically saying, we don't like this Daniel guy, he has too much influence, kind of like the American church, isn't it? And we don't like what they're doing, so we're going to pass a series of measures that are in defiance to Old Testament commandments from the Torah, and Daniel's going to have to choose whether or not to obey God or to obey this government edict. And one of the orders was that you are not able to pray in a certain capacity, especially in public and facing the city. So Daniel hears about this, and the scriptures tell us that Daniel was grieved by it, but then Daniel made a conscious decision. Daniel opened up the window for all to see, and he intentionally disobeyed the government and the king's orders, and he prayed to the city for all the people to see. So that was an act of what would be first called Old Testament civil disobedience. That's the equivalent of you being here at church tonight. Now, all of you know the story of Daniel in the lion's den. That's how he got in the lion's den. We don't always talk about that. Like, oh yeah, he's in the lion's den and God delivered him from that. And of course, that's the other part of the story, is that God will never forsake his children when you obey his commands. Yep. And that's a very important thing. We're the first nation ever founded, where our people who founded the country voluntarily gave up power. Wow. It's never happened before. The people who wrote the Constitution got less powerful when they wrote it. It's never happened before. We're the only country where you could say we have a date and a birthday. Not at the time. For example, what is China's birthday? They're like, I don't know, like 600 BC. Okay, that's not very specific. Like, what's France's birthday? I don't know, they kind of came up. But the fact we have a date's a big deal. Why? Because we made specific moral claims. We said that when in the course of human events, because necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands that ties the one to the other, the separate but equal station, it goes on to say the laws of nature and nature is God. That's a big deal. And we made moral claims of that. And with 55 of the 56 of the signers of the Declaration of Independence were Bible-believing, church-attending Christians. We're the most charitable, generous, productive, open-minded, accepting country in the history of the planet. So yeah, I think we're exceptional.
That's awesome. Charlie, what advice would you give to our viewers who are afraid to take on controversial issues?
It is hard. So you just have to admit one truth, and then you could chart your course from there, which is you will not be able to get your country back and keep everything you have. It's impossible. You will lose friends, you'll lose contracts, you'll lose relationships, but you will gain in wisdom and in courage, and you'll actually end up gaining in friendships that matter. So no, the fear is totally correct if those things matter to you.
What can we do to stay informed and not get overwhelmed?
Yeah, so that's the other thing where people say, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Learn every day. Dedicate time to learn. I love learning. And learning is so important because it will make you less anxious about what's happening around you. And so, for example, if you know the characteristics of a constitutional republic and where they're trying to head us, you have such clarity on what their plan is, and then you'll be informed and empowered on how to stop it. You'll know what the Constitution says and does. Separation of powers, consent of governed, independent judiciary. All these are unique characteristics of a constitutional republic. And I know a lot of people watching this are just, I feel like I'm losing my country. I feel like I'm losing this. And there's two ways there's three ways. There's three ways people react to it, right? They react to it by being despondent and they just check out. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Wrong answer.
Yeah.
Daniel fasted and prayed for his nation. Jeremiah 29:7, which is demand the welfare of the nation of which you are in, because your welfare is tied to the nation's welfare. Wow. That's the Lord speaking.
Wow. It's good.
The next category is people get radical. They start believing weird stuff. Stop that. Like, if it comes from some sort of weird website that has like 50 numbers in it, it's just stop going down the rabbit hole and all that. I mean that. That's a big problem.
Yeah.
So then like, there must be a deeper plan at play. Probably isn't, actually. I know all the actors. Probably not. Okay? Or the third thing you do is just act. Make hope happen. Do everything you can and leave the rest up to the Lord.
Thank you, Tanner. It was quite a tribute in his own words to what he was working on.
Well, let the man speak for himself. The beauty of digital technology.
I've written a historical record of his commitment to his faith.
And his country.
Yeah, but he said the number one thing is to bring people to God. No, he said it in his own Christian way. He said, save souls for Christ. If there's something along that line. But what he was really saying is help people find faith. The most important thing. And the second most important thing was make sure you're doing the first thing. That's a pretty clear mission in his life that he had.
I mean, he said it quite clearly. The first thing is he's a child of God, believer in Christ is king. And more importantly, the second thing is he wants to maintain a country where you can be a child of God, a believer in Christ. We all do the same. As a Jewish person, you want the same. As a Muslim, you want the same. As Buddhists, Hindus, the people across this country, they want to keep the same values.
Freedom
But
of religion.
freedom of religion is essential. It is essential. It is the bedrock of our society. It is the reason why the people give up power. On that part whereby 55 of the 56 signers of declaration are church-going believers of Christ, that even I know. They were Christians. But these Christians decided not to create a theocratic society. Why is that? They created a constitutional republic of democratic means.
Well, I have my own theory about it.
I'd love to hear it.
Well, republicanism as a philosophy, I think is it the Republic of Somalia? Is it called because it's the Republic of Mexico, for example.
Yeah.
There are many
North Korea calls itself a republic.
Many countries call themselves a republic. And does this harken back to the philosophy of republicanism? Probably, because all these modern nation states grew out of the empire of Europe, the colonial enterprise, and republicanism was a reaction to the hereditary right of kings and queens who ruled in association with the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church was wound up. And then, of course, the Anglican Church for the English downstream when the church bifurcated. And, corruption, people say, oh, the church is corrupt. No, the church is not corrupt. The people in the church are corrupt. The institutions are fine. The ideas of the institutions are soaring and majestic. But we, the people, because of that light and dark in our souls, well, a lot of people succumb to the dark for power, for money. And I think when the founders, and this is creating a narrative, this is my feeling, my study, when they created the republic, they were concerned to not have the priests intermediating between the people and the government, because the priests in Europe, in the colonial enterprise, were actually part of the problem, not part of the solution. So and I think that's the frame they came out of. So they wanted to keep that priestly class separate from the government class. And they erected a whole new group of priests called lawyers, rule of law. So it was an experiment. It was an experiment. And I think that the founders believed, it's very clear they believed, that without a people that were a moral and a just people, this kind of governance, this kind of self-governance, I think was called wholly inadequate to govern a people that were not of faith.
The world was taking bets how long this system will last.
Yes, it was. And in fact, some of the people, when they were betting, they were actually trying to help it come apart at the seams. And we're still dealing with that to this very day. That's a big problem
Oh,
we're
we've always
facing.
been an underdog as American, even though we're superpower and powerful and one of the greatest nation and the freest nation on the planet. We're still an underdog mentality.
What kind of mentality?
Underdog.
Underdog. You say the people of the United States have the underdog
Because
mentality?
everybody is betting this country is going to split apart anytime soon.
You know, I didn't know that because I grew up here. So you're saying that people are putting down bets
Oh,
on us
nations are.
failing.
Oh, no, not only nations are. I'll give you a very good example.
Okay.
Can you move the mic a little closer to your mouth?
I'll give you a very good example.
Okay.
And the good example I'm going to give you is when Charlie Kirk got killed, the Russian, the Chinese, and other bots from other countries tried to instigate a civil war in America.
Yes, they did.
Even the governor of Utah picked up on that because he was briefed on it. This is my area of field of expertise. For 10 years, 11 years, I ran a nonprofit until this year when I closed it down. And I was studying disinformation and how it works. So what you're thinking is your friend, Charlie, in Iowa, Waterloo, is actually a Chinese bot, basically cranking out 1 million messages, getting paid 50 cents per message by the
Mhm.
Chinese government.
And undermining our
Same thing
social
with the
stability.
Russians, same thing with many countries. In fact, any sophisticated country in this planet has an influence campaign going in America at any given time to get to you to do their bidding.
Which is to hate one another.
Pretty much divide you and rule you. Because everyone is taking bets. The bets are coming in. And the bet is this country will tear itself apart if we just kick it or push it a little bit.
I wonder if the GoFundMe's that were open for Tyler Robinson, I wonder if those were complete bots. Because I just can't. That's something that like I can see making so many people mad. And it's like nobody in their right mind actually makes a GoFundMe for this, right?
Well, we do have lunatics in this country too.
Yeah.
And that we will talk about later on. And I'd be more than happy to come back to this issue again, Tana. The reason why I will defend Charlie Kirk and I'm in mourning is because of de Tocqueville. Alexis de Tocqueville, the guy who wrote Democracy in America in 1865, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody should read that book. It clearly defines us.
De Tocqueville. This is a very famous book.
Yeah.
And I agree. Tanner, you could even put this in the description, this book name, because what Charlie Cook was,
He wrote
was
two
taught.
books. You know, he was a social scientist. He was observing America. Basically, the things we do here. We observe America and try define its condition and try, like me, I'll try define its condition and try come up with solutions. He said, I may not believe what you say, but will defend to my death your right to say it. Freedom of speech came from that concept and understanding. You have to understand de Tocqueville's grandfather was marshable. He was an aristocrat, born of aristocracy. And he came to America to tour America. He later on joined the French government. But he was a foreign affairs minister, I think, at one time. But more importantly, his grandfather defended the king. And he got guillotine for it.
Well, this is what Kirk said. If you study, he said every day a person needs to learn. That's why we're putting the book names in the description, because all of us are helpless unless we're studying and searching for truth together.
And everything we're seeing today, we've seen before. That's the beauty of history. That's why I dabble in it. And the reason why I dabble in it is because it's like a replay. Different age, different actors, different people, but
Same script.
same everything. Same outcomes.
Almost the people are interchangeable. Sometimes I say, well, this person is just like this person that lived 100 years ago. The period that we're in right now really is not very different than the 1930s,
Yes, sir.
politically
Politically.
and
I mean,
geopolitically.
think about it. What was there in the 1930s? Huey Long? The Socialist Party?
The Socialist Party here in this country or in
Yeah,
Europe?
in this country.
In this country, the Socialist Party?
Yeah, Huey Long. I think his name was Huey.
Oh,
from
Huey Long, the Kingfish
the
you're talking about.
Kingfish from Louisiana.
Yes,
Populist.
right.
And then what else do we have? We have the right, the Deweys.
We
And
had
we had the left, FDR, which was what you would call center left today.
well, but there was some very strong communist elements at that time in this
We
country.
had the communists going at it. They were marching across America
And we
by
had-
the millions.
And we had the fascist
we
element
had the Bolshevik Revolution
right here.
right here. And they were coming, and we had the Communist Party of America until they got banned eventually.
And it was interesting because the media was so important in how that narrative was spun. And when we wake up, we're born. You know, for example, there was a senator from Wisconsin, Senator McCarthy, who was talking about communist infiltration of our government in the 50s.
And he went all out.
He went all out and he was
He had a
defeated.
committee, he had hearings, and he was calling people and calling them out. And here's the beautiful part that you didn't know. Hollywood got called out.
Hollywood got called out.
Some people who made some of the greatest movies on this planet,
Turns out they were
they were communists.
leftists.
And guess who was informing on them?
Who was informing on them?
Ronald Reagan.
Oh, that's correct. Ronald Reagan was the president of the Screen Actors Guild. He was a Democrat at the time.
He was a hardcore Democrat.
Union leader.
And because of that experience, he became what?
Became the lion of the conservative movement.
Hey, I'm quoting him today.
Okay.
Like the way I'm quoting Socrates, you can kill a man, but you can't kill his idea. That man lived what? He died at 399 BC. I mean, the guy died at 399 BC. I'm quoting him, a Greek man who believed in the god of Zeus and Mount Olympus and all that good stuff that the Greeks believed in back then. And when he died, you know what he said?
Go ahead.
The last word he said was, to my friend Kratos, make a sacrifice to Cleopatrus, a god of the Greeks, who's the god of healing, because I owe a debt to him. To him, even though he believed in Zeus and other gods, all gods of back then, he believed that death was a cure itself, because that god was the god of healing.
He believed that death was a cure itself.
Yeah, basically believed in an afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
Greek mythology believed in that. Charlie Kirk is not different. He's a Christian. He believes in Christ. He believes he will be resurrected. And he believes that on that day, he will sit with his King of Kings, his Lord of Lords, through divinity. He'll be there.
And it seems there's a fairly widespread belief in American culture that he has gone to heaven. That right now he is ascended to
I
a
can't
heavenly
speak for
realm.
Christians. And I can't speak for the theology. Depends upon you, and it's none of my business as a Muslim. None of my business.
Do Muslim people believe in a heaven?
We do. We call it Jannah. We call it heaven. I'm like Trump. I'm trying to get there too.
Trump said he had to work real hard.
Pretty much. And the beautiful part is in heaven, under Islamic understanding, it's God's prerogative. No man can tell you. Only, I think, less than 20 people were told they're going to heaven while living on earth who followed Muhammad. Less than 20.
Trump actually said, there's a clip of him, he was talking about trying to bring peace, I think, to the Ukraine, might have been to the Middle East. He's talking about bringing peace, which is part of the subject of tonight's podcast. And he said, I want to go to heaven, and I'm doing this peace thing because I'm not doing too well on this heaven thing.
Well, the beautiful part is the Bible tells you something about it. Blessed are the
Peacemakers.
who are what? The children
of God.
Ah.
I got it right here. It's at the top of my list. That's Matthew 5:9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Is the Bible version that I'm working with here.
King James says children.
Okay, well, I got a different
I need
version.
a little bit.
There's lots of translations.
Yeah.
And every time there's a translation, there's a slightly different meaning.
Pretty much, unless you speak good Aramaic. That's how you understand the real meaning of the Bible. There's many versions of the Bible. Like I say, Christianity is not monolithic, but I saw all sorts of Christians come together. There's 40,000 churches and sects in the world.
If Christians are having a revival, which we said at the beginning, a revival that was started, I think, before this martyrdom or this assassination. And I call it a martyrdom because he's clearly being elevated to a new status because his ideas are going to live on. People are dedicating their lives, their life mission to fulfilling what Charlie Kirk envisioned, which was saving souls. So it's obviously a revival.
Well, I'm quoting a guy called Socrates. You can kill a man, but not his ideas. The guy got killed because he was told to commit suicide because his ideas were immoral. He was considered hateful, and he was considered apolitical.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you who Socrates is. Do you remember the people who told him to kill himself?
No,
Does history record their names?
no,
That's,
no.
that's
There-
why. That's why you can kill a man, and a Somali man can sit here and quote a guy who died in 399
Because
BC.
his ideas lived on, made him immortal.
You made him a martyr.
Okay, so the left, it's one leftist. We don't even know if it's a leftist, really, but the
I don't
narrative.
care who it is, but whoever it is, we're not going to assign blame. Let the investigation continue. Kash Patel is on it. Pam Bondi is
But
on it.
we know that the ideas of Charlie Kirk are magnified now
Yes, sir.
tremendously.
Globally.
And his idea, he said right there, his number one mission was to save souls. We agree about that. We saw it in a man's own words. So we're living in a Christian revival.
We're seeing a Christian revival.
What does that mean? What does a Christian revival
Let the
mean?
Christians tell us. I'm a Muslim. We are watching you.
What do you think? You're a Christian,
Yeah.
young man. What does a Christian revival mean to you?
I guess to me, it's seeing that our culture is starting to focus on it more. I've seen it a lot in my age group too, which is really, really refreshing. The conversations are actually being had about beliefs. It seems like the walls are starting to come down about this idea of like, don't talk about religion, don't talk about it. That's where I'm seeing the revival. I'm seeing it in media. I'm seeing more of a respect. Rap artists are even starting to like start speaking about gospel. So I'm just seeing a shift all around. I have a lot of friends personally who have converted recently. So even in numbers,
When you say converted,
just from being atheist. Well, I wouldn't even say my friends were atheists. They were more agnostic, but they didn't understand any religion to actually be able to say, I have my faith in this.
That was his demographic. Young men.
he is the demographic.
Did he reach him or not?
He's right in the middle of the mix. He's saying his friends, his young peer group, they're now searching for the truth, searching for God, which I think is the whole reason I'm doing the podcast. Actually, people think I'm doing the podcast because of politics. I was aligned with Charlie Kirk before this awful event happened.
You're old school about it.
I'm old school. That's right. If we're going to self-govern, we have to have faith.
I'm a constitutionalist hardcore, and what I've learned is in that article I wrote, Christians Uphold Your Faith, which you'll find at rpoc.com. It says clearly, we walk by faith, not by sight.
It takes a lot to walk by faith and not by sight. You got to let go of your conscious mind.
Our eyes see a lot.
Our eyes deceive us.
The devil whispers in our souls.
Don't-
Materialism is basically begging us to do something.
To sell out.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. You know how much money someone like Charlie Kirk walked away from to remain pure in his stance? You know how many people would like to influence him, give him whatever he wants? What John O'Keefe said, what is your price? John O'Keefe from Variety said, everybody has a price unless it's your life. Then it's priceless.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Unless you put your life on the line.
Well, for those, that's what Charlie Kirk not only put his life on the line, he gave his life.
Well, he was a free man of the church, isn't he not? Charlie Kirk.
Unbelievable. They had an event Monday night at the University of Minnesota. Was a Turning Point event, and I know many.
I bought the tickets before when Charlie Kirk was coming because I had questions for him.
Okay, great. Did you go to the event Monday night?
I couldn't get the tickets. They sold out in milliseconds.
I know that.
It was a Northrop Auditorium.
I know your friend Walter Hudson
My alma
was there.
mater is the University of Minnesota. Row the boat, skiuma. I gotta say that. You know,
Okay.
I'm a gopher all the way.
You like that, huh?
Oh, I love it. I'm a gopher fan. By the way, the football season is looking good. I would say this is a good segue to play video too.
Okay, video 2, Tanner.
Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar, appearing on CNN, had this to say about Charlie Kirk's legacy.
I just think it was the video where it called him Dr. Frankenstein and said his monster shot him through the neck. I mean, obviously this is a person, and looking at this is someone who was a husband and a father, and in the days after his shocking death, that happened as a result of his views, or it happened as a result as he was sharing his views publicly with people, that people found it jarring to hear such criticism of that in the immediate aftermath of
what
death.
I find jarring is that there are so many people willing to excuse the most reprehensible things that he said, that they agree with that they're willing to have monuments for him, that they want to create a day to honor him, and that they want to produce resolutions in the House of Congress honoring his life and legacy. It is one thing to care about his life, because obviously so many people loved him, including his children and wife. But I am not going to sit here and be judged for not wanting to honor any legacy this man has left behind. That should be in the dustbin of history, and we should hopefully move on and forget the hate that he spewed every single day.
So, Billy, you just got back from the Charlie Kirk memorial service in Arizona, which was incredible. What did you think about her comments?
It's unbelievable to me that in the wake of somebody's death, this is what we're going to do. We're going to say things like they were hateful, they spewed hateful rhetoric every day. We don't need to honor that. Not only is it inhumane and wrong, it's unimaginable to me that this would be somebody's reaction to watching a public assassination that horrified the entire world. I mean, it's almost like she's not reading the room, but it feels like it goes deeper than that. I find it disturbing. I find it also incredibly troubling that somebody would say, well, he did all these things. He was a horrible person. He was bad, 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 but with really no evidence. They never seem to furnish the evidence that would make me assume that that is true, but yet they're out there saying it, firing people up, and really creating a situation that dishonors somebody's legacy.
The service yesterday was a revival of biblical proportions. I mean, people all over the world were listening to worship music. I mean, person after person, basically the entire cabinet was just talking about Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. So listen, I'm going to give Ilhan Omar this one thought, which is this. You know, I think we should start to agree on the most agreed upon historic fact of the ancient world that all the skeptics and all the haters agree on, that yes, Jesus of Nazareth really did die. He was crucified. And I think maybe, Ilhan, if you're watching this, maybe we should stop asking if he died and start asking why he died. The verse that came to me, Billy, was from John 11, talking about Charlie Kirk's legacy. Jesus said to her, verse 29 or 25, I am the resurrection and the life. Though the one who believes in me will live, even though they die, and whoever lives by believing in me will never die. I think the exact opposite. It's not even I think. Talk about dustbin of history. The exact opposite of true. Charlie Kirk's legacy has sparked something heavenly in this country, if not the world. So to me, what you're just stating is factually incorrect. But Billy, I'll give you the last word.
Not only factually incorrect, let's talk about Erica Kirk before we go here. Erica Kirk, a widow, a mother of two, left with a baby, two babies, without her husband, had to watch her husband die in front of the world in a horrific, horrific assassination. She stood on that stage and she did the exact opposite of what Omar is doing here. What she did was she forgave. And she said, I forgive the alleged shooter, the man who did this. And she did it through tears. And that is the gospel. And I have to say this, I've said it in every interview. Before we go, this is really important. The gospel says that if we die to ourselves, we live for Jesus, we accept him, we live a life for him, that even that alleged shooter, even that person who committed this crime, that if he turns his life to Jesus, he can be in heaven with Charlie Kirk too. That's what the gospel says. That is powerful. It's countercultural. And here you have somebody who can't even forgive language they didn't like. And you see the disparity, the widow forgiving the murderer, and a congresswoman who can't forgive words she thought were mean. So I think it actually really shows us the power of the gospel when we juxtapose those two things.
What a piece.
I chose on purpose to bring TBN and CBN, Christian broadcasters, because I want people to know what Christians are thinking. And the reason why I chose that is because my sister, Ilhan Omar, and I call her my sister, we're from the same tribe, Pagates. Same tribe.
Okay.
Same people, same ethnicity, man.
Okay.
She's from the royalty side, and I'm from the soldier side.
Okay.
We call Isa Mahmoud, she's called Osman Mahmoud. We're from the Majartan tribes. And I'm telling you, as close as we are, there's a difference of opinion. And I'll explain to you what that difference of opinion means. I may not agree with what she says. The same way I might not agree with what some of the things that Charlie Kirk has said about. But we will defend it to the death for her right to say it. Nobody's trying to silence you, sister. You're a congresswoman.
Speak for yourself.
Speak for yourself.
Let your ideas.
Don't chase the crowds and don't push controversy in America. Because right now, I want to talk about the second stage of this storytelling. We are the 5 stages of grief in this country.
Over the
assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Kubler-Ross, I think, is the name of the psychologist who developed
1969, On Death and Dying, her book was written. Yeah, you're right. Her name is Kubler-Ross.
It's crazy, isn't it? That, see, you hang around Professor Penn, he's walked some of the same roads that you have. Go ahead, let's talk about this. This is very interesting.
Let's talk about the first part, which is denial. And these things don't happen in synchronicity. It doesn't happen automatically in the order I'm telling you.
It just happens.
It just happens. However, you deal with it your way.
And we saw that on X because when Charlie Kirk was shot, there was a huge outpouring of, he's not dead.
Denial,
that's right. That was a huge outpouring. And I remember reading this and I said, whoa, I saw that. I'm not in denial. But people were in denial.
People felt numb. Violence always numbs people. It's meant to desensitize people. So fools share the video. But human beings who looked at it and heard the news, they were shocked. They were numb. They felt isolated. I don't care who you are, anybody on this planet, seeing a man being shot like that
has a psychological effect.
Has a psychological effect on you.
A chilling effect, actually.
That's the whole purpose of it.
It's so reminiscent to me of the 1960s because I was alive when John Kennedy was shot.
You just told us your age.
Well, my family says don't do that. Oh, John Kennedy and then Malcolm X and then Martin Luther King and then Robert Kennedy, in each killing brought more of a chill upon my generation's heart, a fear. But go ahead. So there was denial.
The second part is anger.
We saw that too, didn't we?
Irrational anger manifests. People get angry. Especially people who like Charlie Kirk, people who loved Charlie Kirk, and people who idolize. Not idolize, that's a bad word for a godly man, but people who look at him as a godly man.
And what did they say? They said things that, again, were not constitutional.
Fools celebrated his death. The people who didn't like him because of his politics.
That was terrifying because we saw that everywhere.
Because of anti-Christianity. Anti-Christianity is real in America. I know it is real. When a school down the road here in Minnesota, kids praying can be shot at. Annunciation School.
Mm-hmm.
Who are Christians.
Catholics, actually.
Catholics by a kid. A kid.
And we got to look at, well, why? What we have to be brave enough to ask
Oh, I
ourselves
called it the
why.
first time. There's a lot of reasons why, but you gotta add one more reason. Anti-Christianity. It is
Antichrist.
real.
Antichrist.
It is real. It exists and it manifests itself. And we'll go deeper into it towards the end of this episode. And anger of a nation led to expulsions and firings. People were so angry, they started taking down social media, calling employers, and getting people fired across this country.
A witch hunt, so to speak.
Yeah. It's
For
like an
what they
eye for an
said.
eye.
For what they said.
For what they
See,
say.
this is what happens when people don't have faith. They're capable of saying things and thinking things that people of faith would be a little bit more hesitant to say.
It ain't faith, it's common sense. You either got it or you ain't.
Just common sense is when someone dies, keep your mouth shut. Right?
Well, 50 Cent said it best.
Go ahead.
I don't know. I don't know much about Charlie Kirk, but I know when I'm gonna cuss on this one. But I know when to shut the fuck up.
There goes Tanner with getting ready to bleep that out for you. But yes, we got the point. That's right. We know when to shut the fuck up. That's great.
These people are fools. They didn't know when to shut up. Celebrating a man being assassinated on live TV, a father of 2 children, a husband, a son, a patriot. More importantly, he was a peaceful and violent man. This is a man who picked up a microphone and argued with you. He didn't shoot you. He didn't kill you. He didn't do nothing. He just came here to convince you his way is right. We may not agree with it, and we can agree to disagree with it, but he didn't deserve to be shot like the way he was shot.
Well, this brings up a very interesting question for me, because the through line between the Jewish community, the Christian community, and the Muslim community is faith in God.
We walk by faith, not by sight.
I know I do. I mean, and I know that makes me a rare person in this society because I do it to the full extent that I can. But then you have
I would never claim to be a good Muslim.
Well,
I'm a known sinner. So.
Well, me too, but you know what? I'm dedicated to putting sin underfoot. I've been working on it for a long time. I'm not there, but I'm getting closer
jihad.
all the time. And I'll tell you why I'm doing
A struggle.
it. And I'll tell you why I'm doing it. Because I want to save my country. I want to save faith and freedom and family here in the United States. And I'm willing to do whatever I have to do it. But then I go back to your tribal member, Representative Omar. It would seem to me, because she's covering her head.
Oh, I love that about her. The hijab.
Yeah,
she's a holy too. We gotta give her that. But more importantly, the hijab. My mother wears it. My sister wears it. I like that.
It's like a kippah.
It's like a
same
kippah,
covering your head, showing respect.
or somebody who wears a cross.
Showing some respect, right?
Basically, they're saying I have faith,
and
this is who I am.
But this person,
or like me carrying my, as a symbol of my faith.
But she's wearing the symbol of the faith, and yet she finds Charlie Kirk's presentation of faith to belong in the dustbin of history. That's what I heard her say.
That's exactly what she said. And before that, she said it in a church. And people cheered. In fact, one of the persons sitting next to her was a representative in the House.
Would that be a family member of yours?
No, it was a white dude.
Okay. Okay.
It was a white fuck. I mean, they're the ones who invited her to the church. And a lot of Minnesota legislators said some stupid things. Celebrated that. Walter Hudson called the legislatures hostile workforce environment. Do you know how many times Walter has been threatened? Ilhan Omar gets that threat by the seconds, but also does Walter Hudson by the seconds from the other side. More importantly, it's across this country. Teachers last regime of Biden were getting death threats. Today, everybody gets death threats.
Let me ask you about Representative Omar. She's a woman of faith? Yes or no?
That's between her and her God. I don't judge. That's my trick. That's my strength. That's my superpower.
Okay.
I don't judge nobody because I believe your faith is personal between you and your Lord. None of my business.
Okay. You're not a judge. Judge not lest you be judged. But I'm going to ask, nonetheless, if you're a person of faith, how do you support ideologies which are anti-Christian or anti-faith? It seems to me to be a tension. I don't quite understand how that works.
Well, that comes up to the third part, bargaining.
Bargaining. Okay, let's go.
Well, Americans are feeling what we call, first of all, the anger part. And I'll say this, and you didn't ask me to say it, but I'm going to say this. Conspiracies take over. And you know who always get blamed?
Oh, yes. Well, lately it's always the same. Well, actually, it's been going on for a long time.
5,000 years.
Yeah, blame it on the Jews.
Yeah, they killed them. The homus eaters. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, of course.
And then, if not the Jews, now it's all trans community. Dudes in dresses did it. And if it's not them, I've seen go viral for a week the number 33. Because apparently, when Kash Patel said we arrested him after 33 hours of a manhunt, when his father turned him in, and what does that tell you about the father? Can we pray for that parent and their family? What are they going through, man?
To turn your son in, to give your son over.
What kind of courage does it take? What kind of patriot is that? To turn on your own child. I don't know if I would do the same if I was in that position. I don't. I love my children too much, maybe. But bargaining starts. Americans are feeling vulnerable and helpless. What do we do?
Well, we're on the Professor Penn podcast. What we say is you get involved in politics and you take that helpless feeling and you direct it into action. But go ahead. I don't want to
I mean,
deter you.
You are a man of action. You're an act person. You're the person that Charlie Kirk was talking about. Not the three people. He said the first one disengages. You're a six-pack. Put your leg up and then watch the world turn to, excuse my French, shit. Or you're the second part who says, this is how it is. I'm just going to look at this, do a little bit of my own and do nothing. Or you're the third part that says, I'm going to act. You are an act person. I am an act person. Tan is an act person. And on the left, there are people who act on their values too. That existed in this country for a long time. So bargaining, you say, what if, and if only. That's the thing that happens. Americans will love Charlie Kirk or admire him, even those who disagreed with him, negotiating only with themselves. Higher power and God. I saw that with the Christians when I went to Delano. Or fate to change circumstances of our country.
If we do that, if I do this, God will do that. In fact, Charlie Kirk said it's really baked right into the cake.
I went to a vigil. I said it right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Vigil.
Expecting 100 people and I saw 800.
And Charlie Kirk said, God will not abandon the righteous believers, or something to that effect. And that's an important part of the faith. But that is kind of a bargaining chip. If I become righteous, you have to be very careful with this, because you don't become righteous. You don't walk by faith and not by sight to get paid. You do it without any thought of reward. You do it because you're called upon to do it.
It's doing good for the sake of good.
Doing good for the sake of good. Without reward.
Yeah, you do good for the sake of the good. You teach the bad to do good. And more importantly, you fight evil.
We need people to fight evil, which is what Charlie Kirk was doing.
But we got to define it. What is evil? Because to two different people, it's like peace. No two opinions. And I've walked around this planet talking about peace, from Africa to Asia to coast America, packed synagogues, churches, schools, auditoriums, civic arenas. I've talked to tens of thousands of people, and I've reached over 500 million people talking about peace. As average Mohammed, I'm a citizen diplomat, I told you in the first podcast. Not only once, but twice. Once given by Global Ties USA, 2018, the same award Maya Angelou got. And the second one from the awesome State Department of the United States of America. They call me citizen diplomat, Mohammed, average Mohammed. That was the organization I led.
in pursuit of peace.
That's the whole point.
That's why we're sitting here today. A Somali man, Jewish man, we're both American citizens. We recognize, and you said something very thought-provoking. What is evil? Because everybody has an opinion. One man's evil is another man's good. That's a problem, isn't it? Clarifying that issue.
We need benchmarks. We need a clear understanding.
History.
We need ways and what is the legalistic means of it, because we live in a secular democracy called America, and Charlie Kirk was a constitutionalist.
What is the process for determining what is good and what is evil? It's a search for truth. Each citizen, and this is a point you made, I think, quite eloquently. Each citizen is entitled within their own realm as a sovereign citizen, to search that out for themselves.
True, but we don't want to atomize the process like Tocqueville talked about in the book for Democracy in America and the Condition of America. He said the problem with democracy is eventually individual rights become atomized and there'll be nothing coherent, societal. That's what we're living with under now. Everyone is an individual. It's me, 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 me. There's no we left. And this country is built on we the people.
So the fragmentation has reached the point that the fabric of society is pulling apart, breaking down.
By Allah, I got kids turning out to be furies now.
Turning out to be what? Did you?
Fury. You ever heard of the word fury?
Fury?
Yeah.
Fury?
Yeah.
I do not. I'm not familiar with what that means.
The kids who believe they're animals and cats walk around with tails.
Oh, furries.
Oh,
furries.
Oh, yeah,
I got an accent. You say it better.
Let me interpret for you from time to time. I thought he was saying fury.
Yeah.
But we got kids turning out to be full of fury also. So we got furries and fury. It's the same thing, but a little
what
bit
did Charlie
different.
Kirk talk about that video that I presented? Because I chose that video. I scrolled through thousands of his videos and came up with that one from TBN.
It's a good one.
It's a good one because it talks about values, which he said is a Christian value. That's a Christian side of him. I'm a Muslim. But he said it's a moral person's value too. Constitutional rights, separation of state and church. More importantly, Republican values of governance, not micromanagement, not controlled by the government too much.
Want to shrink that government down.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The last podcast we did, we said we're paying, 40% of our taxes to the government in fees and taxes? I mean, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, you work half the year just to pay the tax.
Pretty much.
Crazy.
And you have to understand, in the same Bible that Charlie Kirk believes in, and the Torah and the Tanakh, they tell you the Jews back then under Pharaoh, who's basically the worst leader you can live under, who enslaved the Jews, they revolted for just 25% of the take.
Hey, I think our founding fathers revolted for just a tax on tea.
Taxation without representation.
Forget about it.
They put on Indian uniform and threw the tea into the sea. The Boston Tea Party.
Come on. Now we put up with all this control, all this management. Why? Why? Because we're not self-governing. See, this is the thing the strategy is self-governance. The tactic, self-governance is the strategy. The tactics that we're going to take to reclaim the country, Charlie Kirk laid them out. One thing he said, you have to study every day. You have to search for truth. You have to organize. You have to get together with people. You have to talk to them. You have to create lists. You have to continuously work in your neighborhood to create constituencies and coalitions of people that are like-minded. So when it comes time to vote, we get the people out to vote.
Professor Penn invites Mohamed Ahmed, popularly known as Average Mohammed. Tana is the engineer. None of us are getting paid for this, so TireGet.com. Please, TireGet.com. Buy the tires, and if you use the code, what AM is it?
Today, we're having a fall special at TireGet.com where you can get any tire you need at the right price. Plus, we'll put them on right in your backyard. The service is 5 minutes from your house. Today, a special. If you go to the TireGet.com site, TireGet.com, and go through the process at the end, just before you check out, it'll say promo code. Put in promo code AM.
Standing for Average Mohammed.
Today, a special AM promo code, an extra 3% off the tire portion of your purchase. And Mohammed is exactly correct. We're trying to stay in business here. We got a very expensive and beautiful studio. Isn't it beautiful here? It's nice, right?
Man, I dig this joint.
It's great, isn't it?
I'm not gonna lie about that one.
It's badass,
this
isn't it?
But someone spent good money on it. And for God's sake, subscribe, share these videos. That's how we pay for the bills out here. And go buy tires at TireGet.com because this man doesn't have to. I mean, he's a Jewish man. He's a man of God. He believes that he's on a path. I'm a Muslim man. I believe I have a walk in life. And both of us agree on one thing.
Peace.
That's it.
We're struggling towards a dialogue. I thought about this, because
With me, it's peace, trade, some form of partnership. Do we have a form of partnership?
we're making a
We
form-
agree to disagree on many things, but at the end of the day, are we doing trade now?
Yes, we are.
TireGet.com, business of America is business. And the second thing is we're talking about peace.
Peace. And,
Shalom, salam.
And what we're trying to do here now, and I thought about this and getting ready for this podcast. What a great opportunity it is for me to talk to people all throughout the world that follow you and let people know that there are people like me that believe in peace and are seeking forgiveness and reconciliation. And I went and I looked up many different verses in the Quran about peace because I wanted to read them, see it with my own eyes. But before we get there, let's finish these stages of grief. Acceptance, okay.
That's all depression. People get depressed, man. Because they're used to getting videos from Charlie Kirk, they're used to getting talking points, they're used to getting ideas, and more importantly, a quiet state of grief settles in. That takes time. The full weight of the impact of Charlie Kirk assassination and what people call martyrdom is yet to hit hard. That moment will come. Now, what happens then is after that is the fifth part, which basically the way it was written was acceptance. Americans, not all, like I said, some of them have lost their humanity to celebrate the death of a young man, a Christian man.
I want to say this again. This was really well said. I said this on a podcast. I can't remember which one it was. When I was a young man, maybe 7, 8 years old, studying the history of World War II, because I dabble in history also, something we hold in common. And I saw a film. There's a film of the dictator of Italy.
Mussolini.
Which I learned from you that when Somalia gained its independence, it was from Italy.
Yeah.
And I know that Italy had attacked Ethiopia, and I learned that Somali men went to fight with the Ethiopians, even though Somalian and Ethiopian men and women have conflict, but not when the European
They need peace too.
Right.
I mean, those Ethiopians, Somali, Eritrea, I mean, you're already poor. You have a market that you can integrate. Ethiopia is 500 billion, Somalia is 20 billion. Eritrea is about 35, 40 billion. I mean, can you imagine what kind of prosperity peace will bring? You know what they're investing in all those three countries?
Guns.
That's half your GDP right there.
Guns. But
and what do guns do?
They are the opposite of peace. Well, they can allow people to defend themselves, defend their sovereignty.
No. In terms of when it's only your number one priority and not peace.
Oh,
look, man.
Then everybody suffers.
When I say that, people look at me and they say, "You're crazy." And I say, "Hold on. Those borders were written up in 1865. Who says we can't, through the figment of our imagination, say no border exists? We have a free market. We do the European thing and we organize our countries and we're all Kushites. Eritreans are proud. Ethiopians are proud. Somalis are proud. And there's many nations within those nations. It's not one monolithic nation.
Many tribes.
Many tribes. In Ethiopia alone, we're talking about 46 to 52. In Eritrea, there's 7. In Somalia, if you break down the tribes, don't get me started on that one. There's 7 major organizations of tribes. But at the end of the day, everybody needs bread.
But you said something, I want to highlight it because we've been struggling for a way to talk about this. I know Royce has been working on it. All the videos of these American citizens celebrating the death.
You've lost your humanity.
This is beautiful. They've lost their humanity.
How do you celebrate death?
You've lost your humanity for sure.
I was in the extremist countering business for 10 years. You know what that does to you? I will share with you towards the end what its purpose is. and what it's done and where you are at the spectrum of extremism. And I will show you a video I made as Average Mohammed.
Okay.
Now, let's, I mean, we've covered this part, and there's a lot of things that go into it. Now, I would love to hear your comments on Peace of Islam, because I want to talk about a prayer here. And the prayer I'm talking about is the prayer that forced our sister, and I call her my sister. She's a Catholic, but she's my sister. I'm a believer of Adam and Eve. We call her Hawa and Adam, and we are all born through that. That's what I believe. I don't believe we came from a monkey. I just don't. Call it faith by sight, not by sight, but by faith. And more importantly, what I do believe is we're all brothers and sisters on this planet, whether you believe or don't believe. And in the Quran, it says, we created it in nation and tribe so you may know each other. And the goal is to know each other. And when you know each other, you become friends, don't we? And that's the whole point. Love your neighbor. Now, in the moment of love, this woman, Erica,
Mm-hmm.
who just a couple of weeks ago, her husband got killed in front of her on live national TV, finds out, she just found out she's a widow. She got to be a mother and a father to 2 kids. And more importantly, the whole world saw the killing of her husband. Stood in the State Farm Arena. And what did she say?
Forgiveness. She forgave the man who killed her husband.
She said a lot of things, but that's my takeaway as a Muslim.
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Well, how does forgiveness work in Islam? Is Islam a forgiving religion?
Well, today is Charlie Kirk Memorial. Let's start with the Christians.
Okay.
And then we go to the Islam, and then we go to the Judaism.
Okay.
In Christian, she was basing it based on our Lord's Prayer. Let me recite the prayer. O our Father, who art thou in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our trespasses as we forgive them that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen?
Amen.
I'm a Muslim reciting a Christian Lord's Prayer. If you change the word Father to Allah, you can say this prayer in a mosque. If you change the Lord or Father to Adonai, you can say this prayer in a synagogue. And the people will not know the difference.
I agree with you.
Now, Islam says in Surah Al-Nur 24:22, encourage pardon and overlooking, asking, would you not love for Allah to forgive you? You have to understand everything Muslims do, we begin with Bismillah, in the name of God, Ar-Rahman, the Merciful, Ar-Rahim, the Lord of Grace. Everything from before you eat, before you go into the bathroom, before you have intercourse with your wife, hopefully with your wife. I'm advocating for that now. Never used to before, but at the end of the day, you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, it's just
Thanksgiving. Praise
exactly.
and thanksgiving.
Praise and thanksgiving. So basically, if you want your God's forgiveness and you can't forgive,
you got to.
How does that work?
Doesn't work.
No.
This is very interesting because one of the things we do on the podcast, we try to lay out, how do you make this supernatural thing work in your life? Well, it's written down. There's rules for it. You don't have to make it up. You have to study, like Charlie Kirk said. How could you expect God to forgive you if you're unforgiving? Well, of course, God could forgive you, but actually, you're blocking the forgiveness by being unforgiving.
You're basically
blocking it.
an artery having a heart attack, and the heart attack, the part that's causing the heart attack, the blockage, is your lack of forgiveness. And I'll explain to you why that means. In the Quran, it says, Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse 134, describes the righteous as those who pardon the people. For Allah loves the doers of good. Did Erica do that?
She did that.
Is she not righteous then?
It was a righteous act, but there were
At that
those
particular moment, the whole world was looking at her, and what she could say was,
stunned. Everybody was stunned that she said
and
that.
she said what guided her.
What guided her was her Christian faith.
Gospel.
She operationalized her faith at the most difficult moment when a person is filled with grief and anger.
She walked by faith, not by sight. She saw her husband being shot, but she walked by
And
faith.
she gave an example to every American citizen, black, white, old, young, gay, straight, rich, poor, that we can forgive each other for the sins of this country, the sins that we've done to each other, the sins that we've done ourselves. We can forgive ourselves.
The sins we do to ourselves.
That's what I'm saying. The sins we do to ourselves, we can forgive ourselves. We can forgive each other and start anew. Forgiveness allows a fresh start,
It allows you to let go of anger
a new beginning.
and guilt, and more importantly, begin life. And I want to talk about Surah Al-Shura, chapter 42, verse 40. States that while retribution from an evil act is permissible, whoever pardons and makes reconciliation, his reward is due from Allah. This woman basically pardoned her husband's killer. I don't have that courage, man.
That's a very honest thing for you to say.
I will kill you.
That is a very honest thing, because I was watching actually at home, and my wife looked at me and she said, "How can she do that?" First thing she said was eye for an eye.
And we all go blind, but I will kill you, man.
And I said right away, I said, "You don't understand Christianity." I said, "I understand it. I think it was the thing to do." She set an example for our whole society. But it doesn't mean
The whole world.
But it doesn't mean that
The whole world. I'm a Muslim, and I'm shocked.
Well, that's very powerful what she did. And also, I want to say, it doesn't mean that assassin, if he's actually convicted in a court of law by a jury of his peers, it doesn't mean that assassin escapes earthly justice. This is a spiritual realm and the earthly realm. They're related, they coexist, but there's differences. I think there's a great line. There's a movie. I saw this movie. I love this movie. There's an actor, Denzel Washington, was in a great movie called Man on Fire. And he plays a killer. And he says, "I'm all for people being forgiven by God. I'm here to arrange the meeting."
Let God sort you out.
Right. That's exactly. But it was really a striking theological moment. And, of course, Judaism talks a lot about forgiveness and reconciliation.
Let's go there.
Okay.
Judaism.
Go ahead.
Forgiveness is found in both the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, and the rabbinic traditions. You're familiar with this.
Grew up
But
in
the
it.
people are not. People out there are not. And I'm a Muslim saying this. And the main reason why I'm quoting this is because I want to show how similar we are. There's differences, but there's also similarity.
Well, we have the same father.
Yeah, the God of Abraham, one God.
One family. Cousin.
Rabbinic tradition emphasizing divine mercy of human repentance and amends. Exodus 34:9.
And there's actually a process for repentance. Prayer. You got to pray. I mean, when you do something wrong in Judaism, you got to lay with it and deal with it. You have prayer and study. As Charlie Kirk said, you have to study, you have to pray. You have to study to change yourself. The prayer, the study changes. And then charity, zakat. You have to do
amends.
That you have to make amends. You have to serve your time. But if you serve your time, it's different than Christianity. It's different. We have to.
Interesting.
In Judaism, we have to prayer and study and charity. You have to serve your time, and you'll know when you can't say, as a Jew, I'm going to say this because I'm a Jew that knows Christ, but I can't get the Jew out of me. And we got to serve our time when we do things wrong. But when we've served our time, we're changed, we're transformed, we're made anew. just as if someone believed in Christ. They're born again. When you do the prayer and the study and the charity, you're born again. You know you've come through the dark passage. And something people need to understand. And it was because I'm also a sinner,
Mm.
you know, and, in Judaism, if a righteous man who never really sinned meets a man who was a sinner and went out into the world and gave up the faith and came back, the one that came back is more elevated in the pantheon of believers than one who never sinned. Because the one who never sinned is still susceptible to corruption. But the one that went out there and was corrupted and found their way back,
and came back.
no, you can't hard to corrupt that because I know what it feels like.
It's like steel. You put it in the fire, you take it out, you tip it, and it becomes harder, tougher, more resilient, and able to cut anything.
And the thing that I hope that we as a people, Christian, Muslim, and Jew, can come to understand that in this fallen world we live in where there's all this corruption, God is everywhere still, no matter what dark place a man or a woman might find themselves. All they have to do is turn and ask for God to be there, and God will appear. But you have to ask very sincerely. Not, oh God, please get me out of this mess. No, you just have to, at that moment of despair, what do you turn to? If you turn in your heart truly seeking reconciliation, God will answer every time. At least that's my own testimony and experience.
I've lived it. I've been in more places that I should have been dead a long time ago and still walked out.
Right. It's a
I've done
miracle,
some
right?
dumb things that basically should have. People telling me even doing this podcast is a dumb thing because, again, like I said, death threats come. People hate will come. Enmity will come. People lose contracts. People lose business. People look at you different. People say, "Can this guy here? Look at him talking. Who the hell gave him the right to talk? Who the
Well,
hell?"
all these people, Tanner,
And let me tell
tell
you,
me that they get bad feedback coming on the Professor Penn podcast.
no, Professor Penn podcast. I'm talking about life in general.
Oh, you're like just taking the walk.
Taking the walk. It's
Walk
not an
by
easy
faith
road,
and not by
man.
sight. No, that's for sure.
There's a lot of thorns and things along the way, but it's a walk and it's a path, and my
That's
path
that
is clear.
steel. That's that iron
It's
being in that
steel.
fire,
It's that steel.
hammering on
We
that.
don't fear, we don't blink, we don't shake. We just walk by faith.
Like Charlie Kirk. He
Not
didn't
by-
know
not-
his hour.
Not by sight.
Man, when he woke up that day, he didn't know that was his last day.
Probably made plans for the next day.
Probably made plans for the next 10
He was
years.
supposed to come to Minnesota the next week
Right.
at the University of Minnesota.
Isn't that a lesson for all of us to get our personal spiritual life at the center of our attention?
It can all change in a second
For anybody.
on anything. Are you ready?
Are you asking me a question?
No. I'm asking your audience a question. Are you ready?
This is where we just sit quietly when you say, are you ready out there, the listeners and the viewers? Are you ready to let go? Are you ready?
Forgiveness.
There's an interesting thing that I've been thinking about a lot in reference to Charlie Kirk's awful public assassination.
Mm.
There's good research now about the human brain that when the heart stops and death is declared,
Still continues.
the brain still continues.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the terror of having no faith and no effort to repair your life, and you're trapped in a body that will soon expire, and nobody can talk to you? It's just you all alone. You don't have a relationship with God. See, I think all religion is leading us to that moment because that's a very difficult moment unless you have faith. If you have faith, well, that's a completely different proposition. So what are you planning for? Are you looking at your phone and looking at those those pixels? Oh, look at my 401k. It's just banging. I'm making so much money this year.
You won't take it with you.
Can't take it with you. You got the wife at home. You got the girlfriend down the block. Can't take her with either.
I mean, what was the gentleman's name who died at a young age too, who conquered half the known world at that time?
Alexander the Great.
Went from Macedonia, North Macedonia, depending on who you talk to. These Macedonians, they argue about it all the time, and then and then went all the way to India's border. In fact, went through the Pashtun land and had to marry a Pashtun, an Afghani called Roxanne, just to go through these Pashtuns. These Pashtuns, they basically turn back everybody.
They're badass, aren't they?
They're badasses, man.
The British twice,
the
Russians and the Americans.
You know what they say?
Huh.
They say we've been in Afghanistan for 200 years, Muslim for 1,400, but we've been Pashtun for 5,000 years.
Yeah.
Don't mess with us, man.
Don't mess with the tribe.
Don't mess with the tribe.
Don't mess with the gang.
Don't mess with us. They don't mind doing whatever they're doing out there. God help them. You know what I mean? They're very proud people. But then again, when he was being buried, he said, leave my hands out and bury me with nothing. This man owned an empire.
You know, Mohammed, we're going to run out of time, and I want to get to this last video piece to end this. We got about 15 minutes left, so I want to make sure we get this last piece out because we're talking about peace and reconciliation.
How do you do peace? I'm a gardener. That's my work.
A gardener.
Yeah.
Planting seeds of peace.
We plant seeds.
Right here we're doing it.
We plant seeds.
Right on this. Right.
Yeah. Metaphorically, like you say, there's a subjective and a metaphysical world. The metaphysical world is here. And there's a subjective world. The world where we got to wake up and make pills, go to work, pay taxes, follow the law. There's a subjective world, but there's a metaphysical world that exists. And part of this world, our umbilical cord, is faith. And we have freedom of religion in America. We are the freest country in the planet, and I can prove it. And Minnesota is one of the greatest states in the world, and I can prove it. My children are born here in America. Just like Ilhan Omar's children are born here in America, in Minnesota. Well, guess what? My children have memorized the Quran before the age of 15. I'm not even a good Muslim. My daughters, the two oldest ones, memorize the Quran by heart. And they live, and they know the seerahs of the Prophet, the stories of the Prophet, and they know the Islamic studies. We train them in it since they were the age of 6, 15. They've memorized at least the Quran. And this is a journey that basically I'm telling you will take you entire life just to understand the meaning of what faith is. Now, there is freedom of religion in America. That's the beauty of this country. As a Muslim, that's why I go to bat for this country. I have everything I need. I found Islam here.
Freedom. Economic freedom.
Spiritual.
Religious
mental,
freedom.
And associations.
Freedom of speech.
Oh, I use that
to
like
the
a fool.
max.
It's a good freedom not to waste, man. Not many people on this planet can claim that. But the most important aspect is, what do you do with your freedom? Because the Tocqueville said, freedom is the hardest thing to learn.
Freedom is the hardest thing to say again?
To learn.
To learn.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it's also the hardest thing to exercise. The same de Tocqueville. It's the hardest thing you can learn is freedom, and the hardest thing you can learn to exercise is freedom. Because not more people understand what that means. They think freedom means a lot of things. But we understand what freedom
Well,
is.
we're coming out of a period in this country where freedom means do whatever you want to do.
Well,
and
we
that's not
atomized
freedom.
We've
That's not,
atomized it to individual levels, to the point of obnoxiousness. It's not minority tyranny, neither is it majority tyranny. It's a balance. There's no balance now. It's a majority Christian nation, and Christians feel isolated. And they have good reason to do so. When a Christian man says a woman is a woman, they're labeled. When they refuse to use pronouns like Muslims do, they're labeled. Hate. So let's talk about the video on extremism. Can you play the video on what to do to know? As Average Muhammad, I created this about a couple of years ago.
Okay, let's listen.
Actions needed against extremist hate ideas that leads to terrorism. You have seen acts of terrorism by white supremacists and those of religious extremists of ideas-based violence. If you use the internet, there's a good chance you have been exposed to these ideas. A meme, a joke, a live stream, an internet influencer message.
Why do they do this to us, especially our kids?
to desensitize kids to traumatic content, create feelings of pride or shame. And if you or a loved one likes it, they work to indoctrinate you by isolating you or loved one from societal, community, country, and your humanity to become just like them. Merchants of misery, hate, and eventually death. Teaching you inclusion and diversity is the enemy. The white folks, Christians, Jews, Muslims, blacks, browns, Asians, and LGBTQI is the enemy now to destroy. To hate them all, or some, or one. You're not a fool to believe in hate. Only a fool believes the other is the enemy, because society, humanity, country will isolate you and do everything to keep you away. There goes your life, ambitions, and potential. This will destroy you because humanity's good shall win over evil.
Average Mohammed, what can one do to protect yourself or a loved one from hate ideas?
Research says do the following 3 things if you suspect hate speech in a loved one. 1. Challenge the narrative. Explain why inclusion and diversity is the strength of our democracies. 2. Pay attention to the memes and content politically charged messages. Avoid them. Unfriending your loved one, you can call it out. For parents, know what your child is consuming. Protect them from it. 3. Listen to what they are saying or joking about. Learn from the internet. If it demeans or blames politically a race, people, nationality, sexuality, or religion, this is a sign the person is consuming hate ideas. It isn't a joke if it demeans others. That is how it starts into full-fledged hate eventually.
Good to know what to look out for. What can I do for a loved one? I don't want the extremist thinking manifesting into terrorism.
Research done by experts say do the following to stop that process. Listen to the views, even wrong ones, to challenge it. Talk to others in their life. Build a supportive network around them of positive influence. Do not shame them. Again, do not shame them. You have every right to be angry, disgusted by the hate. Shaming only forces your loved one to dig in and isolate further to reinforcing the ideas. This is fodder for the extremists to recruit further. Foster open dialogue. Create a safe space for dialogue. Do please take a neutral tone approach. Anger has never solved a problem. We, the anti-hate coalition, exist in every society and country, like Average Mohammed. Reach out to the experts. Google extremism intervention organizations. Get the help you need to stop hate. Average Mohammed has hope. It is the intangible feature of our humanity. Information of how to act is power we have as a people, race, nationalities, sexuality, and religions. Let's use free speech and non-violence ways for the good of country and humanity. We can defeat terrorism by all of us engaging against hate that breeds it. Hate which leads to terrorism, for some must go. For good shall prevail over evil. We believe in that hope for all humanity. Our Average Mohammed walks. This message has been brought to you by AverageMohammed.org.
Very nice.
We want you to learn. Use it. Information is power. Watch this video.
And let's understand that hate can work its way into any life. Any religion has to be, we have to guard against it.
I've worked with anti-extremism. I started with the jihadi, the violent jihadists, who basically are offense jihadists, like Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Al-Shabaab, people who want to kill just about anybody who disagrees with them. And that mentality has gone mainstream in every religion.
That's very interesting.
And every society, because people get desensitized to it, and before you know it, They start
Spreads.
adopting it.
Spreads.
My grandfather was once asked by my father, why don't you want us to go move to the cities? Because we lived outside the cities. And he said, because of things. He said, what things? He said, when you first go to a city, you are shocked at the decadence and what goes on in the cities. And then before you know it, it becomes normal. And then before you know it, you're actually doing it.
You're part of it. You're part
this
of
is this is part of your life cycle. It works the same way with extremism. At first, it shocks people. Before you know it, becomes normal. And then after that, people start imitating it. What we call these people who are trying to assassinate Charlie Kirk, they are Al-Qaeda.
There, yes, I knew you were heading there, and that's what we have to come to grips with as a society, that this kind of hate spreads in every direction. And if we're going to hold our country as a constitutional republic, forgiveness and love.
And zero tolerance to it. The government must have a zero tolerance attitude to it. That's the only way it works.
Oh, justice is justice.
Zero tolerance. If there's anybody organizing, charge them. If there's anybody inciting, charge them.
Arrest them.
Let there be a cost to it.
Let them go before.
Because we ran out of countries where assassinations was normal.
Well, assassination has been normal in this country from time to time, all the time. Right now, what you're saying is the key to get out of this is zero tolerance of hateful hateful rhetoric.
No, not hateful rhetoric. That's free speech.
Okay.
But what I talk about is assassination and assassination attempts. Anybody
organizing to perform violent acts.
Anybody who wants to kill another human being for their political opinion, we need to do something about it in terms of legally. Figure out a way without infringing on free speech.
It's a law enforcement issue.
Basically, there's laws on the books. Apply them.
But your video also says that the associates, the family and friends
are the biggest impact you can have in life in stopping such kind of people. And the impact starts with hate speech. Once you notice hate speech and you think it is wrong, it is still legal to do so in America.
But you have to confront it and call it out, dialogue.
And what you do is you don't shame them. That's the most important thing. Don't shame a person into it.
Don't shame. Don't use guilt as a weapon.
Pretty much. Don't say that's hate speech. We don't like that. I didn't raise you that way. It's none of your business. TikTok, YouTube, and Swiss social media and other things are raising your kid today in America and across the planet. You've lost that battle. Give it up.
Mohamed, we're going to have to stop, but it certainly sets up the next visit about how we can work in our families and in our communities to organize for a more peaceful society. We're going to have to come back to peace and talk about peace next time. We'll start with peace next time.
Well, let me end with TireGet.com.
Thank you.
TireGet.com. Please, I could use the income, and we need to pay for this. Promo code is AM, Average Mohamed.
A special today. If you need tires, any of your friends, family, co-workers, relatives need tires. It's everything you need. You go to the site, TireGet.com. We'll put the tires on, do the service right in your backyard. You get to the end, promo code at the end, AM, Apple Mary, AM, for an extra 3% off on the tire part of your purchase. You'll be supporting this broadcast, and you'll be supporting Mohamed in his effort to bring about a more peaceful society here in his beloved country, the Republic
of the United States of America. God bless America. Go to rpoc.org if you can donate. I'm in the hole in there too. So please help us with anything you can do. Even a penny is right now accepted. Trust me.
Thank you very much for coming in, Mohamed. We're going to have you back soon again. Thank you so much.
Have a good night, everybody.